Hi friends, welcome to my kitchen. My name is Safide and today I want to share with you 3 soup recipes with very simple ingredients and some odds and ends that we might otherwise not know what to do with. And it's now the fall and the fall is absolutely the soup season. I love it. And one amazing thing about all of these recipes is that all 3 of them use miso paste. And miso is this amazing ingredient, and it is made of fermented soybeans, and it has millions of beneficial bacteria which promote gut health, immune system, and a lot of other happy things for the body. It also adds a very great umami taste to our dishes, which is really helpful, especially for vegetarian dishes, which our recipes today are incidentally vegetarian. So let's get to it. So the first recipe is a sweet miso soup, and I came up with this recipe on a rainy fall morning, which I didn't have much ingredients in the house, but I did have 2 Parmesan rinds that I'd been saving in the freezer to find a purpose for. And so I came up with this recipe with very, very simple ingredients that I just had around the house. And it starts as most recipes do, in my opinion, with just some aromatics. And in this case, it's just a red onion and a chunky clove of garlic. I'm just gonna chop them and very, lightly fry them. So as the onion and garlic are frying a bit, we can prep the rest of the ingredients, which are not that many. And here we have the 2 Parmesan rinds, which you can put in whole and then remove after the soup is done. But I like to actually cut them into chunks. Not super easy, but I do like the texture they bring to the soup. In this way, sort of looks like paneer pieces or even like a firm tofu piece. And we also have a couple of dried apricots, which will add more sweetness to the soup. I'm just gonna chop them small pieces. Sticky. That's it. Oh, it's super sticky. And to add some healthy greens to the soup, I use bok choy. And if you have those small bok choys, you can just go ahead and put them in as whole. But mine are really huge today, so I'm gonna cut them into strips. I think I will chop the leaves the way we do herbs. And that's it. All the prep for the soup is done. Now that the garlic and onion are where I want them to be, we can add some seasonings, and which in this case is just half teaspoon of turmeric, and some salt and pepper, and a bit of salt, a little bit more, but not too much because we have miso paste, we have Parmesan, we have those Parmesan rinds, and all of those will add some salt. We have to fry the turmeric a little bit in order to activate it and also take away that maybe sometimes not very pleasant raw turmeric taste. And then we can add our Parmesan rinds. And the apricot pieces. And just toss, toss, toss. And after they are coated, we can add some water. This was around 2.5 cups of water, and I will just crank the heat up to maximum to bring it to a simmer. Now that the water is at a simmer, we can go ahead and add our miso paste. And I like to add it with this tiny strainer and dissolve it in this way. Here we can add our carbs, which in this case is like 6 tablespoons of oats, or like half a cup. And the oats need like something around 10 or 15 minutes to cook. And we will just let it be. Come back to it. Actually, I mean, it is boiling too much, so I will turn the heat down. And we will just go do something else for 15 minutes. Now the soup is bubbling away and the oats seems all cooked. We are almost done. Here we can add a half cup of whole milk, which is now room temperature. Dissolve, dissolve, dissolve. And to make it even more delicious and decadent, like 2 tablespoons of grated Parmesan. Amazing. It smells heavenly here. Crank the heat up a little bit, and when it comes to a simmer again, then we can add our greens. Time for the bok choy. It looks a lot, but I will wilt down quite a lot as well. And greens are good for you. And a beautiful contrast with the turmeric yellow. In my opinion, when the bok choy becomes sort of flexible and it can bend easily, then you're done. Soup is ready. Hey, it was actually super difficult to wait, but it was piping hot. Now it's a bit more edible. Okay, super excited. Oh my god, that is amazing. It's better than I remember. Or maybe I added more parm this time. I don't know. It just tastes better. And those chewy pieces of Parmesan, I love them. If you like chewy textures, you're going to enjoy it. So this was the first recipe. Hope you try it out and enjoy. The second recipe is a light pumpkin miso soup. And one day I was just making pumpkin puree, and I was really, getting bothered over the 1 or 2 tablespoons of pumpkin puree that gets stuck at the bottom of the blender. And I was thinking this pumpkin has gotten through a lot to be here. And earth, water, and sun have come together to make this wonderful orange. And it would be a shame for us to just wash it down the drain. So I decided to make it into a soup. Just pour some water in it to thin it out and turn it into a wonderful soupy situation. And I made this with tofu, which is an awesome protein. So I actually like to salt my tofu very much similar to the way you would salt a piece of meat. And I pour salt all over all sides of it. I sometimes do it overnight. This one I just did for 1 hour ago and just put it over a towel to absorb the excess water. And this makes the tofu very, very flavorful as opposed to like a quick marinade or putting tofu in a sauce that is not bad. But what I think does is that just flavor wraps around the tofu and not actually penetrate into the meat of the tofu. And so for this, we just cut it down to cubes and we fry it. I will be adding all the detailed ingredients and also instructions in the description box. So if you want to get more detailed ingredients down there, but I mean, it's soup and it's cooking, not baking. So it's very much dependent on what you need at that moment. So this is our main piece of protein. And then for the aromatics, I will just use some chopped up leeks, which I almost always have in my freezer. And we're just ready to start. That's as simple as that. Let's get going. I just basically add some water and try to dissolve all the pumpkin pieces here. So the first stage would be to fry the tofu. This will be just like the other recipes, a one pan situation. So we will fry the tofu, put it aside, and then work on the rest. Okay, time for the aromatics, and no need to fish these out. They can just do their thing. I was about to pour all my pumpkin juices in the ground and just adding the leeks. These are a little bit watery because they are freezer leeks. And just let them evaporate a little bit. Some more salt. And some pips. That's enough. This is another super simple recipe, so you don't need to do much with it. And I think this is almost enough frying time for everyone. Time for the pumpkin juices. Looks so good. So for this recipe, our carbs is polenta, and I absolutely adore polenta. And this is just about 3 tablespoons. That as soon as I put the polenta in, then I have to keep on stirring it non-stop until the polenta is cooked. The miso element of this soup comes from two types of miso, both red miso paste and white miso paste. And they both add wonderful depth to this recipe. And I'm gonna, just like the previous one, dissolve it in a tiny strainer. Can I have some room, tofus? Thank you. My cat just came over for an inspection. I guess she likes the smell. Oops. Turn the heat down. Turn the heat down. Kitty! Kitty! Yes. Yeah, absolutely. You are completely right. Do you want to come up to the shop? I suggest you don't do that. Yeah, it's hot. This looks good. And now basically it's just the time that it takes for the polenta to cook. But since it's just 3 tablespoons, it actually cooks in less than 15 minutes. I'm just gonna play with it. You don't need to do this. You can just give it a toss every once in a while so that the polenta doesn't stick to the bottom. When the soup is almost done, like 5 minutes out, I will add around 2 tablespoons of heavy cream. And just dissolve, dissolve, dissolve. And the soup is done. We can now just pour some, dress it, and enjoy. Hey, the soup is ready, and I dress it with a little bit of a pumpkin seed oil for fun, and also just a sprinkle of hemp seeds for omega-3s, and definitely without a doubt a squeeze of lime is required. It just brightens the whole dish and makes it oh so irresistible. I'm gonna go for a bite. That was too. It's a little bit hot. But it's wonderful. Such deep flavors and such an easy recipe that comes together in just a few minutes. I hope you enjoy it as well. I'm gonna wait a little bit before eating the rest of it. The weather is super rainy and appropriate for this third recipe, which is a ketchup and miso tomato soup. And I know that ketchup and miso might sound weird together, but trust me, in the right amount, the end result will be fantastic. I don't know if you can hear the rain, it's going pretty strongly over here. Yeah. So I'm really excited to get the soup going. And the main ingredients in the soup will be potatoes, with two cups of diced potatoes, which are diced into tiny cubes or not so tiny cubes if you don't have the patience for it, and also some red lentils. And these lentils are fantastic because they cook very quickly and also give the soup some good amount of protein and very delicious texture. The theme of this video is odds and ends and leftover ingredients. And for this recipe, the odd ingredient is that couple of teaspoons of ketchup that remains at the bottom of the bottle. And you just go ahead and thin it out with 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. And we can use it in this recipe. As ever, we start with the aromatics, which in this case, very simple pantry ingredients, and our one yellow onion, which this one is actually too big, so I'm gonna use half of it, and a couple of cloves of garlic. So let's get going. Let's get them all coated in the oil, and then it can do its own thing. Now we can add the garlic cloves, which I'm just gonna mash over it. The second one. Fantastic. As soon as the surface of the potatoes change color and become a little bit less shiny, then we can add our seasoning, which in this case are 2 teaspoons of coriander seeds and 1 teaspoon of cumin seed. And if you want to use the ground version, go ahead, just use half of these amounts. And I'm gonna put it in the middle to fry the spices a little bit. Another condiment in this dish is 1 tablespoon of tomato paste, which will work in intensifying that tomato taste that we will get from the ketchup. And tomato paste needs a bit of heat to actually cook it a little bit and get that raw tomato taste out of it. Heat is a little bit too much. And I get all of these guys coated. And this is almost done. We add our lentils. Oh, such pretty colors are happening right now. I love it. And then we go with 2.5 cups of water. I have no idea how the sound is going to come out with this amount of sizzling and bubbling. And let's give it more salt and pepper before I forget. 1 teaspoon of salt. However many cracks of pepper that you want. I'm gonna do like about 20. And the remaining ingredients, it's the ketchup thin with lemon juice and yeah, it's going to sound like that. Sorry. And we're done. And actually a tiny amount of miso paste. This is a half teaspoon of miso paste, which in this type of amount is very complementary to the tomato taste. And because it's just so small, I'm just gonna dissolve it in the pan. Now we just let it be. We let it come to a boil, turn it down to a simmer, and let it cook for 20 minutes. And the final soup is done. And just garnish it with some Greek yogurt or creme fraiche if you want, and some parsley, and you're ready to dig in. Ooh, this is also still a bit hot, but I just can't wait anymore. And I want to get everything in one bite. I don't know if you can see it steaming. So wonderful. So creamy. So comforting. This is like comfort food level of soup, you know, like mac and cheese, but you can still walk after. Yeah. So I'm going to just savor this and enjoy it, and maybe even also eat a toast with it, right? Like a toasty toast. I hope you've enjoyed these recipes and you give them a try, and I will see you next time. Bye.